Straw is used mostly for animal bedding. Joel Karsten wrote a book called Straw Bale Gardens. He says this ancient and increasingly popular idea is a form of container gardening. He says using containers makes gardening easier by reducing the need to pull weeds and deal with insect problems. Joel Karsten says straw bales can require less water and prevent plant diseases caused by too much water in the soil. He says it is not possible to overwater a bale of straw because all the extra water just runs out the bottom. In areas with polluted soil, growing food in straw bales is easier than building above-ground containers for soil. Oats and wheat are the most commonly baled grains in the United States. Rice straw is also good for baling and gardening. The straw bale becomes both the container and the growing material. Preparing the bale takes about 2 weeks. The first step is to add water and fertilizer to the center of the bale every day for 3 days. This begins the process of bacteria breaking down the straw into a growing medium. Once this happens, the bales are ready for seeds or young plants. Some experts say planting seedlings is better than growing from seeds. You can find plenty of information about straw bale gardening on the internet. For VOA Learning English, I'm Alex Villarreal.
From VOA Learning English, this is the Agriculture Report. Students at the University of Virginia have developed a new way to purify water. They say it could bring improved water quality to millions of people in the developing world. They call it a Maadi drop. Field testing began recently in South Africa. The laboratory where the Maadi drop is made operates like a kitchen. Workers add ingredients and mix, weigh, press, and bake. What the workers are making is a ceramic disc that contains silver. When the disc is dropped into water, silver ions are released to purify the water. Ions are atoms that have an electrical charge. Testing at the University of Virginia shows that the disc produces clean, safe water. Bita Ade studies at the University of Virginia. She says her work is not only about making effective technology, it is also about making solutions for people in developing countries who do not have many resources. Why the name Maadi drop? The word Maadi means water in Tshivenda, a language of Limpopo province in South Africa. There, 50 women run a factory that makes water filters. The university started the factory last summer. The women mix sawdust and clay to make flower pot-shaped filters that they use to purify drinking water. The water flows through the filters, which trap bacteria and solid particles. The factory sells the filters to local families. But the Maadi drop is smaller and less expensive than the filters. Over the next few months, students will test the Maadi drop in South Africa. If the testing is successful, the South African women will make and sell the Maadi drops. The goal is to expand to other developing countries and improve millions of lives. For VOA Learning English, I'm Carolyn Presutti.
This is the VOA Special English Agriculture Report. Today we continue telling about a report by 3 geography experts from American colleges. They studied food security in Gambia, Ivory Coast, and Mali over 30 years. In the 1980s, governments and lenders like the World Bank and the International Monetary Fund changed market policies. They launched free markets designed to improve agriculture. The report, however, suggests that the changes caused loss of important support systems for farmers. Private investment in agriculture largely replaced government help. In some places, roads and mills built to help farmers fell into ruin. Protectionist import taxes and farm supports were cut. Farmers planted more of their best crops, or cash crops, for export. They planted fewer food crops for local use. Less costly rice came into the ports of Gambia and Ivory Coast. Many city people in those countries liked the cheap rice more than rice grown locally. Researcher Judith Carney works at the University of California at Los Angeles. She said buying the cheaper imported rice worked well until the worldwide food crisis of 2008. Then, many people could not pay for an important part of their diet. Researcher Lawrence Becker of Oregon State University said some local farmers stopped farming. Food production fell and unemployment rose. The researchers said people in Mali were able to deal better with the food crisis. Mali's farmers supplied more of their nation's rice needs than the other 2 countries studied. And the poorest people in Malian cities ate sorghum instead of rice. William Mosley of Macalester College in Minnesota led the report. Professor Mosley said Malian farmers had planted more sorghum because the price of their cotton, a cash crop, had dropped. Unlike Ivory Coast and Gambia, Mali has no seaports. He said this is often seen as a problem for Mali, but it caused them to depend less on imported rice. Based on their research, the experts suggest that farmers plant a variety of crops and not just depend on rice. They also say governments could place some trade barriers. And they urge that mills and roads be built or rebuilt to process and carry grains to market. And that's the VOA Special English Agriculture Report. For more agriculture news or to comment on our reports, go to our website, voaspecialenglish.com.
A new study says climate change has reduced the world's wheat and maize production. The study says rice and soybean yields have also decreased in some places, but increased in others. In the words of the researchers, for soybeans and rice, winners and losers largely balanced out. The researchers studied climate trends and global crop production from between 1980 and 2008. They found that climate changes are already exerting a considerable drag on yield growth and may have affected food prices. The study used computer models linking crop yields to weather. Yield is the amount produced for each hectare or acre. The researchers compared the results to what the yields might have been without climate changes. They found that corn production decreased by almost 4%, and wheat production decreased by 5.5%. Warming temperatures were reported in almost all of Europe, much of Asia, and some of South America and Africa. During the study period, most countries had greater temperature changes from year to year than they have had historically. But the study says the United States was an important exception, at least so far. Corn and wheat yields in most of North America remained about the same. Russia's wheat yield decreased the most. The largest loss in corn yields were in China and Brazil. The report is in the journal Science. One of the researchers was economist Wolfram Schenker at Columbia University in New York and the National Bureau of Economic Research. He says the report can serve as a planning tool for policymakers. He says if you are worried about rising food prices, it might be good to funnel some research into breeding for heat tolerance, and maybe even drought tolerance. Jeffrey Stark is with a public